So, welcome back. We are now on the start line for the open event here. This is the Nut Rock Heat. And, well, what do you make of the conditions, Andrew?
I think it's pretty similar to this morning, to be honest. For the ladies and the men's, looking pretty identical. Wind is, maybe it's just come down a couple of points, a couple of miles an hour, but it's not too challenging out here on the start line. As I was saying earlier, I think that middle section is the bit where we're going to get a little bit of cross-sea. And it's never pleasant here, is it? You've probably done it a lot of times where you're kind of putting your oar in your pocket or it's getting a bit tangled up and it's difficult to find your water. It's not too bad out here today, and we're hoping that wind is going to go off a little bit more again this afternoon. So not bad conditions at all, really.
No, I'd agree, yeah, and I can totally relate. Rowing attire is actually very important, isn't it? There's nothing more frustrating than wearing a hoodie rowing. You do not want to do that. It doesn't require much kit to get involved in Cornish pilot gig rowing, and that's one of the beauties of the sport, isn't it? You know, it is relatively cheap, relatively easy to get involved, and there's lots of racing around the Cornish coast over the summer.
I totally agree. A very, very accessible sport and very, very good value for money. As I said, we're just out here on the start line. I think actually this first heat might be close enough to going off. They've come up through the lane markers already. I wonder whether we just want to have a quick spin through who's in the race.
So, yeah, we have got Slippen, which is being rowed by Flushing and Myler. Thank you to St Mary's for the loan. We've got Star of Northey, which is Langstone, Cockleshell RMA, Irene Lewis. We've got Concord of Bristol. We've got Emperor, which is being lent to Coteal Quay, Gibraltar, RM Tabor, Western Spirit and Phantom, the crew from North Norfolk. So they are just underway now, pushing off the start. So what we can see here, and we might just talk through a little bit about what we would expect from a start sequence. So I mentioned it before in the commentary, but really these 32-foot clinker wooden built boats, they really do take quite a lot to get off the start. So we would expect a kind of a 30-stroke to 60-stroke start sequence depending on crew preference. What I can really see here though is I can see the Emperor really pushing up. Their start has really worked. They're really punching into that little bit of a chop, and you can really see them moving here.
Yeah, I think there's some really interesting theory around how you structure your race and how deep you go, how far you commit at the start of a race, especially. If you look at the Emperor here, off to an absolute flyer. Now that'll be burning an awful lot of energy. They're going to try and establish that lead and then hang on to it. I think if you look at the A heat especially, I think there's quite a lot of interesting psychology in how some of the top heats race. They don't tend to do this. They tend to row slightly more conservatively, in my opinion, off the start, and almost row negative splits. They're almost looking to get faster. I always feel that about Lou. It looks like they've got that extra gear. They've always got a little bit more to give at the finish, as opposed to doing what Emperor have done here, which is, out to an instant lead, burn a lot of energy, and see whether you can keep that lead going to the finish.
Absolutely. I can remember a Carradine crew of old chatting to one of their rowers who said that they just didn't bother with a start, that they felt that it made them too flustered. Now, for me, I don't personally agree with that, because I feel like I need that focus in that beginning of the race. We're just being flagged up. Emperor is the under-25 crew from Coteal Quay. So fabulous to see Coteal putting in a youth team here. And look, aren't they doing just so brilliantly compared to some of the more experienced rowers in this heat?
So I'm interested in how you would have gone through this, Esther, back in when you were rowing. 2019, I think you told me. So would you have had a very structured first 2 or 3 minutes to your race? Would you have a game plan to go out, maybe establish a half-length lead and then settle down?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to give too much away in case the Falmouth ladies are still using the start technique. But yeah, absolutely. For us, we spoke about it a lot as a crew. It was something we communicated about a lot. And it's something we practiced, actually. We used to take out speedos with us, and we used to do different start sequences and different conditions, and we used to see how they go. I remember one particular outing where we actually, Penny, our coach, got us to throw a bucket over the bow to really slow the boat down. And then we were doing the start sequence in kind of like almost slow motion to really think about where we were getting the boat movement from. And I just think for me, settling those nerves really early on, it was just so important, and the start sequence really helped that. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing Emperor to Western Spirit, and then I would say to Irene there. Emperor's doing brilliantly here. They came down yesterday, as did Concord. So Concord aren't making the progress they would like to see here. It looks like it's Western Spirits to go into the top lane. As a coach and a cox, Andrew, what's been your approach to starts?
I think it's about being adaptable. I mean, you can have a plan, and it's great to have a plan and practice. And certainly at Truro, we put a lot of emphasis on starts. A bit like I think you were saying, you've got a strong idea of what you want to go out and achieve, and we drill and we practice starts week in, week out to make sure we're good at them. At Truro, at least, we were always quite we're never as good at hanging on to it for the length of the race. So at this point, you'd be thinking, oh, we're doing really well, and then slowly you slide backwards.
One of the first coaches that I had, Helen, I remember her real thing used to be the sort of like the split down off the start. So she used to, it was very important about the language she used actually. It used to be like split down and motor, outside arm, really engaging, really beginning to put that big weight in. So kind of like the adrenaline of the start is over, but then not letting your weight drop off there, because quite often that's the moment that you can really begin to do some damage to your opposition.
No, I agree. I think the point about being adaptable is you have this plan and this vision about how the first 2 or 3 minutes are going to pan out, and sometimes things don't go the right way for you. I watched the men's A final a couple of years ago, and a lot of wash came through the line 2 minutes into the race, and a number of the boats just stopped. And so you've got a plan for how you think it's going to go. It doesn't always work that way. And being able to adapt and overcome that situation, almost start again and go, no, we need to get the boat moving. We lost a lot of boat speed. Shorten up a little bit, quicken up, get the boat moving, then lengthen out slowly. Really, really important.
Yeah, and I think that's why sports psychology is so important. Like, it's obviously like this. It's almost like selecting crews. I think for all clubs is a contentious and a difficult issue. But there's certainly been people that I've rowed with who maybe they weren't the strongest on the ergo, but what they really brought to the boat was a very clear head. And sometimes they could kind of like they could give you instructions. They were really good at that like 360 view around the boat. They could almost get boat feel. And if they ever made a call, Sophie Evans, I remember being particularly good at that. You always listen to Sophie because she was good at that boat feel stuff.
Yeah, I think it's important to have a cool head in those situations. I was told off for a little bit of chatter on the Agnes start line on Friday, and rightly so. You know, you've got to listen to your cocks and listen to those key people in the boat who can make the best of that situation and read what's going on. I think we just have a quick run through the standings at the moment. I said Emperor got off to a flyer, and they certainly have. They are really, really clear in first place of Western Spirit. I think it was the Concord. No, is it Oh, I'm just looking at the boat on the far outside there. Yeah, is it Daedalus? We're struggling to see. I think anyway. Western Spirit in second, and then third, fourth, fifth, very close. Northerny's in there, Concord's in there, Gibraltar very, very tight, and Irene as well. And those boats are all pretty close together. And then out the back we've got Phantom and we've got Slippen bringing up the rear of this race. But we're into the middle section now. This is if we're going to get any chop, any horrible little bit of mungy water, this is where it will be, Esther.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really hard. It's hard to know because we're not going to go down in this heat. It's hard to know the game that these crews are playing in the middle here. Certainly, if I was coxing these crews, I'd be saying, I don't want you stressing. I want you to relax tonight, this afternoon. That is the competition. Also, Andrew, you mentioned like people talking in the boat, and you were saying that you got in a little bit of trouble for it on Friday night. I always find this fascinating because, again, like I can remember there were some crews that we used to row against. We always had a strict no speaking in the boat policy because we felt that it just brought panic into the boat for us. But I know that divides people, and it's just opinion. I don't think there's any right or wrong there. But there used to be a crew. I won't name names, but we always used to sort of like we had this thing that we said like as soon as we heard them, we used to refer to it as yipping. They made a certain noise, and as soon as they made that noise, it was like, aha, we have got you beat. Happy days, moving on. So for us, that was something that kind of gave us as their competitors. That gave us a bit of an advantage, which I never shared that with them. Obviously, we were quite happy for it.
I think it also depends who you've got coxing. If you've got a lot of faith and trust in the person pulling the strings, I wouldn't open my mouth. Do you know what I mean? You need to keep quiet and do your job at that point. But also, sometimes things aren't going to plan. I've been over here a little bit panicky in this Sunday morning. You know, you're very close to getting spat out the back, and you're thinking, this isn't working for us. We need to make a change here. And I think as long as you say that in a calm, controlled way, and it's usually a settle. It's usually, I think we need to go back to basics here. A little bit more length, slow it down a little bit, get the timing back together. Because at the moment, if we don't make a change, we're going to go down a heat. It's probably not something you were very familiar with, Esther.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and I think total faith in your cocks is so important. And I just want to make a little point here, which is just to say thank you very much for the positive feedback we've had about the commentary here. We have greatly appreciated it, and lots of people saying, you know, that we sound really knowledgeable. But I would just like to give a little nod here to where that comes from, and just to say thank you to the coaches, really, that have coached me during my rowing career. It started off with Chris Hitchens at Roseland, Helen Pascoe at Falmouth, Malk Hatton, and then latterly Jeremy Stonehouse and Penny Shooter. You know, we were incredibly lucky to be coxed and coached by Penny. She used to be in the GB women's setup, GB national setup, and she was the head coach. And for reasons I'll never truly understand, she decided in retirement to come and waste her time on us. But we may have been, you know, not the most athletic crew that she's ever coached, but she put her heart and soul into us. And she used to always say to me, Esther, she was like, it's not good enough for you to just accept what I'm saying. I need you to understand what I'm saying, so you understand why it's important. And you know, I owe personally a great debt to those people who've given me a considerable amount of time and effort over the years to coach me in the boat. And yeah, it's hugely appreciated.
I think the key thing there is really good coaches and really good coxes are very good at getting inside the heads of the people they're coxing. And certain types of people respond very well to having things explained to them. You can say, look, I want you to do this, and this is why. This is why I think it's going to make you faster. This is why I think it's going to make the boat quicker. And having that understanding, some people need to get really fired up. You get other people are very relaxed, and you're like, no, we need a bit more fire from you. We need to get you out of your comfort zone a little bit. So it's the right saying the right things to the right person.
Absolutely, and I think my experience being coxed by Lee Altenberg completely and utterly is summed up by that. What Lee really brought to us was, you know, aggression, a little bit too much aggression. I seem to remember a turn at Mevagissey where we completely swiped out Roseland. I'm still very sorry about that, Natalie and Becky, who we took out. But Lee was really good at that, getting us fired up, and he definitely saw that as, you know, quite an important part of his role as the cox. So that definitely is part of the sort of toolkit that makes somebody a fabulous cox or coach.
So we go back to the race a minute. I mean, this lead from Emperor now is really, really stretched out. We're about a minute out of marks are in, and they are, I don't know what number you want to put on it, Esther, but 10, let's call it 10 boat lengths ahead of Western Spirit. Coming back to second, third, fourth, a really good race developing, really. I think the Concorde there came down yesterday, so they're going to be really hoping that they can beat Western Spirit to go up a heat in this third race, and it's tight. We got Western over Concorde by probably quarter length. I can see the bow of the Concorde on the number 2 in the Western Spirit, and then looking back, it's Cockleshell, isn't it, and Northney sitting behind that. So that's your 2, 3, 4, 5. Gibraltar, Irene, pretty close together. I'd say Gibraltar probably leading them at the moment, and then Phantom sort of bringing up the rear. Looking back, I can see the next heat's already on the water and chasing us. So I'd expect these heats to get fired off quite quickly, just like the ladies, Esther.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. You know, these crews want to come in now. They want to have something to eat. They want to prepare for this afternoon. The other thing that we were just going to pick up on, Andrew, is something that I mentioned looking at one of the women's crews earlier on, was again the skill of coxing. If you'd come here, you know, in the early 90s when we were both here, having a lovely time, you would have seen a lot of the coxes really rocking forward and back. But that's not so common now. Can you explain to me what's going on there?
Well, I think a lot of rowing style evolves and changes over time, and coxing with it. And you're absolutely right. You used to see coxers throwing their weight a long way forwards in the belief it was going to make the boat somehow quicker. I mean, for me, this is my opinion, I may be wrong, but conservation momentum, you move your weight forwards, that's great, but your weight's got to come back again. And so really, I think it's a net zero, and the only thing it does is rock the boat. So you're setting up an oscillation there where your weight going forwards probably dips the bow and you get a little bit more drag, hydrodynamic drag, and then you bring your weight back and you sit the stern down. So all you're doing is really probably increasing the drag factor of the boat, and it's something that's really gone out of fashion. And we're looking across here now, cox is sitting fairly upright. You know, they're encouraging their crews. You can see they're shouting, but there's not a lot of body movement anymore, and it's something that seems to have died out.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree, and certainly the people that I've been coxed and coached for in the last bit of my career were very anti it for the reasons that you highlighted really nicely. explain there. So, okay, I mean, we've got a lovely group of people here on the quay now. A big round of applause from the lads in the Emperor. They are rowing beautifully. Look at that. You should be really proud of that. Catila are a river crew, so those under 25 probably find those conditions really challenging today. But we're seeing Western Spirit here from Western-super-Mare. We're seeing their close rivals and their close neighbours, Bristol, on the outside there in the back. But Gibraltar are absolutely going for this. RM Tamar are being flogged. Their Cox is really, really pushing it, and they're getting results. Well, I would say this is Western Spirit to Gibraltar to Concord at the moment, but Gibraltar, they're really, really on the game. They are rowing nicely. Look at that timing. That 3-row just needs to keep their head in the boat there. I wouldn't like to call it. Concord are losing distance a little bit here. I think Gibraltar have momentum. Western Spirit, I'm not sure. Andrew, would you like to call that one?
No, I wouldn't. We talked about the finish line, the set of the finish line relative to us. That's going to be really, really tight, that. I'd say maybe Western, but there's Concord, Cockleshell coming over, then Northney, and then we've got Irene coming up to finish now, and then 2 boats yet to finish. I think we've got, who have we got out the back? Is it Phantom? And final boat, we'll just get an ID on that one, just about to come in. Sorry, we're turning around. We're just flipping around in the harbour, Esther, and we'll go back and find the next heat.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can see the Phantom coming in here, and I can't quite read it, but I believe it's the slip-in that is coming in the last 2 positions there. So we're up to Heat J now. We are in berth 1, Sarika with Hale Sean. They did so well in the last heat, didn't they? They were absolutely stormed it. Let's see if they can stay up. We've got Henry Smarden from New Haven. They were the other crew that came up into this heat, so we're going to be keeping our eye on them. Then we've got Pegasus from Brixham B, Epic Energy from Epic Gigability. We've got Hurricane from Bishop Stortford. We've got Avona from Clifton. We've got Bryden from Bridport B. We've got Brilliant, Christine H from Clavelli, always struggle with that pronunciation. Zeus from Portreath. We've got Ross Carrick from Port Isaac. We've got Phoenix from London. And we've got Iceni from Awesome. There was quite a lot of clashing in this heat yesterday, Andrew. I'm not sure if you saw it. Phoenix, Ross Carrick, and I want to say Iceni. So I think those 3 crews will be wanting to keep away from each other today.
Yeah, I think yesterday was really tricky conditions. Hats off to the starter, as I said earlier, because trying to keep everyone in those lanes with a heavy crosswind, it's not an easy thing to have done. And I'm not surprised we had clashing, basically. So, yeah, absolutely.
Even some of the most experienced coxes in the field that I spoke to yesterday, they were saying that this problem, that when they were catching the waves and their stern was going up, they were losing their rudder and then they were getting the wind. Ryan here and the Gig Rower Stream team, he was telling me that, what they should really been doing there is they should be putting, when they saw that wave was coming, then they should have put the steer on early to sort of keep the boat straight. But I think that's easier said than done. I think the conditions were so messy yesterday that I'm just not sure that was possible.
No, I agree. You always find the gig wants to hunt the head of the boat up into the wind, so you're battling that. The best way of doing it really is to try and balance the boat with your rowers, so you're not using that heavy strings. You're not yanking on the rudder and breaking the boat too hard. So we're looking at the lead of the next race. Going to pass back to you, Esther, but it looks like Phoenix to me. What do you think?
I agree, Phoenix and Brilliant, but also don't outlook Hurricane out there on the outside, very close. To me, it looks like Phoenix, they're having a nightmare in this round yesterday, but they're much better and they're much more comfortable in these conditions. Phoenix, they're from London. You know, they're used to the Thames, they're used to the traffic they have to deal with. I imagine they've got some very experienced coxes, but equally they just weren't accustomed to that really, really nasty following sea that we had yesterday. So Phoenix, really, they came out with a point to prove today, and they're absolutely proving that. So it's Phoenix in the lead, to Brilliant there, to on the outside Hurricane. Now Ross Carrick, also one of the boats that was caught up in that clashing yesterday, they're coming in 4th. We've then got on the outside, we've got the Clifton boat, which is, I believe, Pegasus. Yes, thank you very much, Andrew. Well spotted. So we've got Pegasus on the outside here. To me, though, it looks at the moment like Phoenix and Brilliant are going through. Do you agree, Andrew?
Yeah, for where we are now, what are we? Just past marks are in, so a couple of minutes of rowing left. Phoenix clear by a length over Brilliant. I'd say Hurricane are on Brilliant's rudder from this angle, so that's quite a tight second, third there. and Ross Carrick and Pegasus fighting it out for 4th and 5th. And then you've got Zeus 6th, fairly clear. Epic Energy and Iceni, that's probably quite tight. And then looking back, we've got... Sorry,
I don't agree with you there. I think Iceni's got this over Epic Energy. I mean, Epic Energy is going to have the line on the finish here, but we're still to be fair, we're quite far off this. We've just gone past Toll Line, and we've got a good 60 strokes for these crews to go. And it's all to play for there in the midfield, but equally, is there a game to play here again? You're not going to overhaul Ross Carrick, you're not going to overhaul Hurricane, Brilliant or Phoenix. So if I were these Coxes, and I'm looking at the Cox of Zeus here, she's giving calls. No, I think she's actually going pretty aggressive here. The Iceni Cox, though, much more relaxed, just looking over at those crews, not worried about a thing. They know the job they've got to do here. But we've got Epic Energy on the outside there. Then we have got Avona, we have got Christine H, we have got the Henry Smarden, and then on the outside there we've got the Sarika. So it looks to me like the Sarika and the Henry Smarden, they are going to be going down. The Phoenix and the Brilliant, they are going to be going up. And Phoenix, I mean, take my hat off to you there, London Cornish. There is some really good rowing going on there. Really high stroke rate, keeping the rhythm going. Brilliant also came down yesterday, so they are going to be delighted by this. They have got the bounce back here. They are going to be really pleased. Phoenix just needs to be a bit careful here. They need to go the right side of the finish marker, and it looks like they're going to the left of it. This could affect, we could see Ross Carrick from Port Isaac go up here.
Yeah, it's an interesting finish. I mean, I'm hoping the finishers will look leniently on that, because they've just won that race and finished outside the finishing pin, so we'll see what they make of it. But Ross Carrick coming through in 3rd, Hurricane just crossing the line in 4th strongly, Zeus 5th, and you were right, Esther, it's Iceni over Pegasus.
Yeah, there we go. I had a bit of a better line on that, to be fair, Andrew. But, again, if you're one of the women's crews watching this, please take heed of what's going on here. Please go within that buoy, because you do not want to miss out on your chance to be on the podium because you went the wrong side of a buoy. So we've got Pegasus, then I'm looking back. We have got Epic Energy. They are leading Christine H and the Avona there, but it's very close. I think Christine H have that, but Avona might just have the lead there. So we've got Henry Smarden and Sarika. They came up yesterday, but they're going to be dropping down again. So perhaps that's not a surprise, but between those two boats, it is going to be race on, is it not, to win the next heat. So moving on now, Andrew, I'm going to ask you to read Heat I, please.
No problems at all. So we're just heading back out, and they're already a long way up the track, so we'll try and get through this quickly. We've got Berth 1, we've got Clevedon B in the Eagle, we've got Burnham in Brew in lane 2, we've got St Mary's in the Nor, we've got Affinity in Grace O'Malley, we've got Dutch Crew in the Double Dutch, Barnstable lane 6 in the Nipper, Bridling Sea in the Golden Gear, we've got Rowhenge in the Valkyrie, Portishead borrowing the Dolphin, lane 10 we've got Cold Rose in the Daedalus, Goran B in the Vault, and then we've got Rame in Minadoo coming in berth 12. And really, we've only made it a couple hundred yards out, and we're already catching this heat, Esther.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been up out of my seat. I've been trying to keep an eye on this one, and I just don't think I can, actually, because it looks very close. Is that Daedalus that we've got in the lead there? But who's that on the outside? I can't. Is it Valkyrie in those bright pink tops? It's really neck and neck with those two. But again, there's a little bit of a game to play this afternoon. This is when the podium positions are going out. This is when it is your chance in these lower heats to get yourself on the podium to join the party. Daedalus look to me like they are just ahead of Valkyrie. And then we have a whole group behind. We've got Dolphin and Grace O'Malley. I remember these crews from last night. This was tight last night. And again, we're seeing it. So Valkyrie and Daedalus doing a great job here. Then we've got Dolphin to Grace O'Malley. Then we've got the Double Dutch crew to Nipper. Then we've got Nor. Right, I think I've got a card about Nor. Can you pass it over? I believe we have a young man in this crew which we're going to give a shout out to. So we've got Daedalus, we've got Valkyrie, Dolphin, Grace O'Malley. Handing over to Andrew.
I'm just looking at the energy going in here from the 1 and 2 here, Valkyrie and Daedalus. They are fighting each other for this podium position. I just wonder whether they want to conserve a little bit more energy, really, because there's clear water back to the Dolphin in third, and you think both these crews, the Daedalus and the Valkyrie, will be going up from this heat. So they're working very hard to try and win it in this third race. So as you said, we've got Dolphin third, you've got Grace O'Malley in fourth, Double Dutch in fifth, Nipper sixth, probably Nornor seventh, but it's close with the Golden Gear, and then Volt, then Brew, then Minadu, I would say. So really tight clustering here again. They're all in a line and very, very close between the boats.
Yeah, I just also want to give a shout out to Jake Sanford in the Nornor. We believe he is the youngest person to be rowing here at the World Pilot Gig Championships. He's only just 16. Not only is he having this phenomenal experience, but on Monday, did you hear what job he's going to be doing? Putting bags on the Salonian. So make sure we give Jake a really good cheer when he comes over, and say hello to him on Monday when you're heading back, and congratulate him on a great season. It's just brilliant to see the Isles of Scilly bringing so many youth rowers through their squads.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're like 5-6 strokes out of the finish here. I wouldn't like to call it between Valkyrie and Daedalus. It's very, very tight, but it doesn't matter. Those two crews are going to be the ones that are going up. Dolphin pushing hard over Grace O'Malley, though.
That's what I was going to say. That Dolphin crew, leave it all out there. Brilliant. Just really absolutely going for it. Well done to Dolphin. That's a crew from Portishead in a burrowed boat. We've got Grace O'Malley from Affinity there. Then we've got the Dutch crew from KWDK, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, in Double Dutch. We've then got Nipper in the Barnstable crew, and then we've got Nornor. Look at them, completely committed. Well done, Jake, just phenomenal. You should be so proud of yourself. We've got Golden Gear then from Brightlingsea. Then we've got the Golden Eagle there as well, which is Clevedon B. Thanks again to the crews that are lending boats. We've got the Volt here in with Goran B. Big shout out to Pete Banfield there. I used to work alongside them at Penrice. We've got Brew with Burnham. We've got Minadu from Rame. So it looks to me like Minadu and Brew are going to be the ones that go down. Right, next heat.
Absolutely, right. Tear that one off. So we're coming up for Heat H. H for Hotel. And in lane 1, we've got Clevedon in the Blackbird. Lane 2, Crantock A in the Gannel Maid. Lane 3, Calstock in
Cobra.
I haven't got that right all day so far. Porthleven in 4 in St Elvin. Swanage in the Peveril. St Mary's D crew in the Island. Penzance and Newlyn, again, one I'm going to need help with.
Mytinus and Morladron.
Can we just call it M&M?
I think we can. They might not like it, but we know.
So that's lane 7. We've got St Ives in the Fortitude in 8. Pendine in the Averack in 9. Cape in the Brisons in 10. Coverack B in the Lark. Block capitals for Lark on the sheet for some reason. Hoping they're going to do well. And then lane 12, we've got Yelm B in the Bonnet, a lone boat there. 1830. That's not far away from being 200 years old.
No, absolutely. And we've also got the Islander here. She's a 1989 boat. And I can remember, Andrew, when we came over here in 1990, were you part of that first cohort that came to compete in 1990 at the World Champs?
I was far too young.
Oh, okay. Well, I was 6, I would like to stress. But I can remember all the talk was this Islander boat, and what an absolute flyer she was. So it's still, she's still a boat that's absolutely beloved by the Islanders, and the Isles of Scilly crew looking great in her. So at the front of the line here, we have Blackbird from Clevedon. They are alongside Peveril. Which is the boat from Swanage B. So Islander, they were the guys that came up. They came down into this pack, as did the crew from Penzance and Newlyn. So the Peveril and Blackbird, they're really looking to make their way up, and it looks like those two crews are going to be quite comfortably up. But who have we got behind? On the outside there, we have Gannel Maid from Crantock. We have Fortitude from St Ives. We have the Islander and the Bonnet. There we go, going absolutely neck and neck there. The two boats there from St Mary's. Then on the outside there, we've got St Elvin. We've got Averack as well there from Pendine. And then on the outside, I'm just struggling. I think that's the Newlyn boat that we can see with their very distinctive red and black oars. And they are just staying up here. It looks to me like we're going to have quite the race for the finish here. Yeah,
certainly. There's been a bit of a move at the front here. Peveril's kind of, from our angle at least, gone clear water in front of the Blackbirds, so they're leading the way, and there's probably only a couple hundred yards to finish. So I think your 1-2 for this heat are going to be Peveril and Blackbird to go up. Fortitude rowing really nicely. They're in third at the minute, and Ganel Maid in fourth. They're looking pretty nice, and it's quite close then. These two island boats, Islander and Bonnet, 5th, 6th. I think they're going to push each other along, Esther. We might see them, moving up on Ganel Maid.
Absolutely, I've always got such a soft spot for Bonnet. She was rowed by my friend Nathan, who sadly passed away. He was a Salonian, and his love for the Bonnet it was infectious, and I can't help but be remembrant of that. So, and then if we look in the back there, that really is there's a 3-boat race there at the back. We've got Brissons from Cape Cornwall. We've got the Lark. There seems to be a blue boat on the far side. I think it's that Cobra from Calstock. It looks like the Cobra is going to be going down, but I wouldn't like to call this between Penzance and Newlyn, the Coverack boat and the Cape boat. Cape and Penzance and Newlyn, they're going to be very well known to each other. Coverack's not exactly far away, so these are local crews. They are going to know each other, and this is tight. This is to stay up in this heat. And it looks, it's very close. I wouldn't like to call it. Lark, I believe, are up on the Newlyn boat, but it's very close. So we've got Ganel Maid, we've got Islander, we've got Bonnet, we've got St Elvin. Oh, brilliant to hear them cheering each other across the line. Hip hip hoorays ringing out around the harbour. Averack, the Pendine crew, they look to me to be safe. Then we've got the Lark, and then we've got Brissons. So I believe the 2 boats going down are the Penzance and Newlyn boat, and also we have the Cobra boat. The 2 boats, they're from Mytinus and Moladron, and then we had Cobra, which is with us from Calstock. So, as always, quick turnaround.
I think the interesting thing there, you're starting to see these heats tighten up a little bit. I mean, that was 5-6 boats in a couple of boat lengths at that finish, and as we come up the order, you see it can get really, really tight. Everyone fighting to not go down. It's very, very competitive, Esther.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is exactly what we saw in this competition as well, wasn't it? So we're on Heat G. This is where it begins to build up. So in Heat G, we have Ralph Bird from Porthgain, Morleda from Penryn, Bolt from Salcombe, Shocking from the United Rowers, Elowin from Mevagissey, Killegaren from Roseland, Penarrow from Flushing and Myler, Swift from Rock, Endurance from Torridge, Osprey from Poole, Len White from Appledore, and Galatea from St Martin's. I also have a little soft spot for Killegaren. I was there when she was launched. I used to row for Roseland in those days, and I remember taking her over on our maiden journey. Then we fished for mackerel, and we got this beautiful boat with a white inside, which due to some slightly overzealous fishing ended up covered in mackerel scales. So we can see here Len White in the lead, I believe.
Yeah, as I'm looking at it, Len White doing very, very well. They've probably got clear water over the Galatea that's coming in second. We're just spinning around to get a better look here. But yeah, Len White, certainly bodies in the bow. They're laying back. They're looking pretty strong there. And again, we're inside marks are in, so not far to go. Galatea going very well in second, so it looks like that 1-2 might be quite well established. Looking back, who's the Varnish boat? Is that Endurance in third? Blue boat, I'm sorry, we can't get the name, in fourth. Who's that likely to be? It's not the Morley, it could be the Bolt, couldn't it? Let's look. Yes, I think it is. So Len White first, Galatea second, Endurance third, Bolt fourth. Elowin going quite well fifth, but so's the Osprey. So Elowin and Osprey for 5-6. That's quite a tight battle. What are you seeing at the back, Esther?
Yeah, I mean, again, we've got that really close huddle. We've got one boat there quite far off the back. I'm just sort of having a little scan down through my list. I can't. Sure, but Len White, they're really sort of laying the hammer down here, aren't they? Galatea, like, they've got more work to do to be safe, though. I wouldn't. You know, they need to make sure that they're really getting clear water on that Endurance crew. We talked about this a bit yesterday, but it's really important sometimes, I think, to get ahead as a cox and to cross over so the opposition can't see them.
Just looking at the stroke in the Galatea, it's quite up, it's quite fast, it's quite short. I just fancy that the Endurance actually look more relaxed, they look calm, and from where I am, Endurance is already ahead of the cox in the Galatea, so this could be a close finish.
of Len White to the Galatea crew. My points to the Galatea, if I was coaching this crew, is just to really think about their bodies, pushing their bodies back, really engaging those thighs. There's quite a lot of work that's going on in the upper body here, and your upper body is simply never as strong as your lower body.
No, I totally agree. But that said, it's they're going up. A lot of energy being expended. So you've got Len White crossing the line now. Galatea going to come across in second. Endurance looks like they're going to take third.
This is Galatea's final, isn't it? And I'm there for that. So we've got Len White, Galatea, Endurance in third, and then Bolt and Elowin. This is close. Bolt and Elowin are close, and then we've got Killigaran and Osprey, also really, really close. Oh, it's Swift we can see there on the outside. I can see their ribbons. So that's how you know it's a rock boat. I very much appreciate them doing that today. So Bolt from Elowin. Then I think we've got Killigaran to Osprey. Then we've got Penarrow, and we've got another boat on the outside there, which I can't quite see. Oh, Osprey to Swift. We've got Penarrow, but the two boats, Shocking is off the end there. Oh, it's More Lader that are safe. More Lader are safe. So the two boats that are going to be going down here is Shocking, and did you spot the other one? Ralph Bird, there we go. So Shocking and Ralph Bird are going to be going down in Heat G. So we are moving on now. We are in Heat F now. So take us through the runners and riders.
You could hold the board for me, thank you. So Brixham in the Florence, berth 1. Hale A in Arveth, berth 2. Salcombe in the Cadmus in 3. Boscastle in Pentargon in 4. Goran in Porthurst in 5. Exmouth in Shelley Maid in 6. Tresco Briar in the Alfie Jenkins in 7. Bristol in the Mischief in 8. Portland in the Pulpit Rock in 9. Mount Spade B in Kenza in 10. Porthleven in the Energetic in berth 11, and finally Weymouth B in the Tristan in berth 12. We're just heading back out and see who we can catch up with first.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got the Porthurst here, and we mentioned it yesterday, but I think it's worth mentioning again that she was actually built by Harry, one of the individuals from the Lou crew that are in Curragh Pride. So it's been a few years. We think the last person was probably Patrick Bird and the London Cornish gig to be as a boat builder and his boats out in the water. But it must be like a significant amount of pride from Harry there to have one of his boats on the start line of the Sillies. What a legacy he's leaving in the sport.
No, absolutely. You need these individuals, and you need these sort of people to drive the sport forward. Really, really instrumental and key. We're just catching up with the race. Who do you think might be in first place here? This is pretty tight.
I don't know, we're ducking to hide from Steve's drone. If you hear that loud hornet sound behind you in this boat, you learn to duck. It's pretty wild, but I'm glad the conditions are better today. We're not rocking and rolling quite so much. So, in the lead, we have Tristan from Weymouth, but this is a 3-horse race to see who's going to go up. We've got Porthurst, that brand new boat on the outside from St Goran. It's great to see that really pushing its way up into the upper heats. But then, what's that red boat in the middle there that's really coming through now? Alfie Jenkins, brilliant. Okay, so we've got Alfie Jenkins from Tresco Briar. So that's one of our local boats, and this is neck and neck, isn't it? There are 3 boats in this.
Yeah, I'm just looking. One of my pet hates as a cox is wash in the last 100 yards. I'm sure you feel the same way. And they've just had a little bit of the tripper boat wash run through the pack there. So it's resorting this top order. We've got Tristan, we've got Alfie Jenkins going toe-to-toe here, and that's only 2 of those boats are going to go up.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was always that thing when Wash came through the boat. That's, again, a bit what we were talking about earlier, sports psychology. Like, what do you think as a rower? For me, I always thought, Wash, brilliant. We're going to make the most of this. We're going to move up. If you take that positive attitude into it, you tend to do well as a result. Alfie Jenkins, they are just nosing ahead now of Tristan. And that third boat on the outside, whose name I have forgotten, they're just dropping back ever so slightly.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Look at the separation here. I'm sure the drone's giving you a better view than it's giving us. But those boats, Tristan and Alfie Jenkins, very close together there. I always like looking at the opposition, as we said earlier. But we're going to be careful in the Jenkins. They don't get pinned in, really, with Porthurst. There's 3 of them there in a line. From my angle, Alfie Jenkins just the better at the moment by a quarter length.
Yeah, I agree. Mischief is coming in 4th here. We've got Kenza in 5th, Pentargon in 6th. Then it gets a little bit muddy for us. It looks like Pulpit Rock is up there. At the back, just dropping off, we've got the Energetic. And I would say, is it the Shelley Maid or is it the blue boat there that we can't quite see the name of? We've also got Arveth there. Shelley Maid, Arveth and the blue boat. They need to be careful here because they don't want to fall into that second to last position. It's Cadmus from Salcombe. So looking back towards the front, Alfie Jenkins have really made the push here, but I cannot call second at the moment. Tristan Porthurst, we are right on their rudders, and literally it's going to be who takes the stroke closest to the line. That's what this is going to come through. Both crews are really pushing hard. They know what this means. Tristan, they are really maintaining their form, and I totally commend that. Under the pressure they're under now, to be rowing well. The rowers are looking across to the finish. They dare not stop because they're worried. They're clearly through the finish line. Oh my goodness. Alfie Jenkins, Tristan and Porthurst, you can be proud of that. We've then got Mischief, the Bristol crew, coming in 4th. We've got Kenza from Mounts Bay coming in 5th. We've got Pentargon coming in 6th. On the far side there, we've got Florence. Then we have, I think it's Pulpit Rock to Arveth, and then we've got Cadmus. Cadmus have just done enough to pull ahead of Shelley Maid. So going down from this heat is going to be Shelley Maid and Energetic, the Porthleven crew. So moving up again, here we go. We are now on Heat E. Off you go, Andrew.
Heat E, crikey. These are coming in thick and fast now. So we're just turning around to go and find Heat E. But in berth 1, we got a lone boat, so that's Bude in Lochie. Berth 2, we got Snagness in the Shah. Weymouth A in Isolde. Is it Isolde or Isolde?
Isolde, I would pronounce
Isolde.
that.
We'll get told off. Anyway.
We have an Isolde in Falmouth Gig Club, and that's how she pronounces her name. Whether Weymouth use the same pronunciation, we'd need to check.
So we'll go with Isolde in berth 3. Then we've got Zena in Malusin in 4. Swanage in Winspit in 5. Langstone in Heart of Hailing in 6. Lone Boat in 7, which is Carradon D in the Speedwell. Lyme Regis in the Tempest. Teen in the Templar. We got Foy in Troy. Portishead in 7th, Spirit in 11, and then finally Roseland A, run 12th in the Polvarth. Coming back to that wash point a minute ago, there are quite a few boats out here now, and we're motoring back out. I wonder, it's one of those situations we don't really want to be on the extremities. You don't want to be in 1 or 12. You're more likely to get affected.
Yeah, absolutely. So the two boats that came down into this heat were the Speedwell and the Heart of Hailing. So they will be at a slight advantage here. Lochie and Polvarth, the crews that came up in the last round, maybe a slight disadvantage as more people are coming out to support their friends and family. But what can we see here? So that lead boat to me, that's the Langston Blades. I can see them. I'm going to call that the Heart of Hailing. Do you agree? Is that the lead?
Yeah, totally. I think Heart of Hailing have got this. Just trying to see who's on the outside. So the second boat, green, is Isolde. Yeah, so they look like they've got the second place at the moment. Just spinning around to get a better look. Again, all within the last couple of 100 yards of this race, and it could be Polvarth in 3rd. I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. So yeah, it looks to me like the Heart of Hailing have this one. Isolde, I mean, they've got to really maintain momentum against this motoring Roseland A in the Polvarth, because they're just shortening up a little bit, whereas we're seeing the length being maintained in the Roseland boat. So it's Heart of Hailing at the moment to Isolde. Isolde's also really just taken on board some wake. Those rowers, it's really important at that moment, like I said, just to relax, to shake it off, because we are seeing quite a bit of chop hitting the line now.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Polvarth here. They're rowing really nicely. Nice bit of lay. And Isolde, they just hit some horrible water there, and they kind of slipped back half a length. So we got Hailing, clear water back to Isolde, and then Polvarth looking strong in 3rd. Then back to 4th, we got 7 Spirit. Then probably Winspit looking 5th. Templar in 6th.
From Zena, we've got Troy on the outside there. Speedwell from Rock. They've got some work to do here. Tempest has unfortunately fallen off the back here, and I think it's the Shah there on the outside. So Speedwell and Shah here, absolutely everything to play for.
Yeah, so just looking at this second, third battle going on, I got Polvarth on Isolde's rudder at the moment. They've got a lot to do. I mean, it's 100 yards to the finish. They're pushing now, so bow up on Cox from our angle. They're coming.
Absolutely. And can I just draw your attention to the height of the four-rower there in Pole Varth? The reach they're getting is quite impressive. And they are going, yes, they are using that superior length just to really put Isolde under pressure. Oh, come on, Rosen. You've got to want the underdog to win this one.
I think so. I'd say they're still not quite there with the line angle at the moment, but it's going every stroke. Roseland are coming.
I can see Millie Edwards there absolutely pushing this Pole Varth crew. Have they done enough? Again, this is not one Andrew and I are going to be able to call from the boat. We are going to have to go to a steward's inquiry for that one, because that's beyond our skill set, Andrew.
Totally agree. So that's your second and third place. We'll need a photo finish. Seven Spirit coming through in fourth, and then very tight between Windspit and Templar. It's going to be another one of those angle on the line numbers. Could be Templar, I think.
Oh, yes, it's going to be very difficult. I'm just looking at the Roseland boat there, hanging over their oars, and I absolutely do not blame them. So we've got Seven Spirit. I would say Windspit have got it over Templar, and then on the inside there, the white boat is Lockie to Troy to Malusin, and then the two boats that are going to be going down from this Heat E is Speedwell and Shah. So Speedwell is the boat. They came up yesterday.
Tempest.
Okay, oh, apologies. Right, we're going to have to ask for a photo finish on that one, because Speedwell or Shah, we got a bit carried away there. We didn't realise we had the 12th boat Tempest just off the back there. So Tempest will definitely be going down. We'll have to let you know about Speedwell and Shah. Moving on, Heat D.
Just reflecting on that, really, what was interesting is that horrible water that Isolde hit, and it just slowed them up, and that just gave Roseland that opening. And there's something to be said for being more in the middle of the course and being a little bit safer in terms of that nasty weather. But looking at Heat D, then, are you doing this one? I can't remember who did the last one.
I'll do this one, that's fine. So we're trying a variety in our voices. Right, so we've got Bolster from St Agnes in berth 1, Volante from Dart in berth 2, Jeanette from Tamar and Tavy in berth 3, Bedaven in berth 4 from Bude, Lightning from Dart in berth 5, Beacon from Bridport in 6, Grace from Charlestown in 7, Catalina from Catwater in 8, Goose from Portlock in 9, Faith from Devon in 10, Gavenik from Cateel in 11, and Rapari from Ilfracombe in 12. So where are we here? As we come down the line, I believe we've got the drone up, so you might have a better shot of this than us. But we're struggling to see it. Steve's just showing me the image that you are showing at the moment, and we can't really call this one because we can't. Yeah, okay. Well, what are we seeing here, Andrew? Bedhaven.
So I think Bedhaven and Catalina for me, they're both quite a long way up the pack. We're just going to flip around and have a look. Sitting behind those two, again, there's a cluster. It's very, very tight racing, but yeah, Bedhaven and Catalina leading this one. We're just going to flip around and see what we've got at the other end of the heat. I'd be interested to know your take on 11 and 12, and we see who's at risk of going down.
Yeah, it's really close. We have got one boat at the back there that seems to have dropped down quite significantly. Maybe that's Beacon of Bridport. We can't quite see from here, but again, it's going to be really that position 11-10 is close here. So we've got Bedhaven, and I know you're joining us for the first time today, but I keep saying it, Bude. I'm so impressed with them at this championships.
Yeah, they're strong, aren't they? They're looking really, really good. They're into their finish sequence now. We'll talk about finish sequences in a minute, but Catalina pushing them hard, but I think it won't matter. There's some clear water back to both Jeanette and Faith, who are battling it out for third place, and then, as you say, we got Goose, Gavenik and Grace following those three in. So some tight racing to come. Catalina looking strong, though.
Yeah, she really is. Can you just see the way that she's like pulling through Bude there on the outside? Bude have done really well this year. I think they've benefited from the competitions they've been running at Rodeford Lake, along with Boscastle. Sorry, we're there. The competition really, really does help. So finish sequence. What's your preference then, Andrew?
Well, I like the negative split approach myself. If you've got something left in these finishing sections, you can really make it pay. And I think that's where not going too deep too early, keeping a little bit in the bag can be important. What are you seeing at the front? I think this 1-2 is getting very close. It
is, absolutely. Catalina and Bedhaven. I think a finish sequence is lovely when you're in the lead and you're bringing it home. But there's those moments, and I think back to the final that I rode with against Carradon, and we were just pushing. The finish sequence went out the window. The last 30 strokes was just whatever you had left in the tank, and from my own perspective, it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, so Bedhaven responding now. They've gone a half length up over Catalina in second. Looking at Faith in third, probably Gavenik over Jeanette for 3-4. Sorry, 4-5, but that's very close. And Goose sitting in the middle there. There's a right little cluster. Grace just hanging off the back of that pack, and then a gap going back to probably Beacon over Rapparee. I'm struggling on the outside. Who do you think that is? Valente? So it's Valente out the back. I can see them, so they're definitely at risk of going down. But just approaching the finish here, Bedhaven finishing strong.
Yeah, absolutely. They've really responded, but equally, again, you know, like I keep saying to you, like I think that if I was that Catwater Cox, I would just be like, Catalina, relax. Don't worry about it. You know, you're going up. You should be really proud of yourselves. Let's see what we can do this afternoon. So we've got Bedhaven, Bude, Catalina, Catwater. We've got Faith from Devon. We've got Gavenik, which is joining us from Cateel. We've then got Goose, very close from Portlock, and Jeanette and from Tamar Tavy in the back. I couldn't call it between Ganoose and Tamar Tavy there. Then we got Grace from Charlestown. Then looking back at the back, we got Beacon and Rapparee. Again, that one's tight, but essentially it isn't going to matter because the battle here is really between Lightning and the red boat that we can see in the distance. Is that... Trying to think, was it Bolster, thank you, from St Agnes, the mainland crew. So it looks to me like from this Heat D, Valente and Bolster are going down. Lightning has managed to stay up. So I think that was that two dark crews side by side there in the end of that Heat D.
Yeah, it's really competitive. I mean, you look at that the distance between, you know, staying up and going down there, probably less than a quarter of a boat length. Really, really tight racing. So we've got Heat C coming up now. So if I give you the rundown, we've got Tregarthens in lane 1. We've got Padstow in Arrow in lane 2. Lyme Regis in... I can't say that. It's too many M's. Ammonite, thank you. So Ammonite in 3. We've got KWL Lustrat in Victory in 4. Foy in Q in 5. Lou in the Talisman in lane 6. Falmouth C in the Governor in 7. The under-25s, Emma Louise crew, should make fascinating watching this. They're St Mary's Club. They're in lane 8. Boscastle, lane 9 of the Torrent. SRV rowing Zeeheld in 10. Flushing and Myler rowing Zorn in 11. And Padstow rowing Petrock in 12. And this heat's been very, very quick on the set-off because we've already caught back up with them. Leading, I think it's pretty close, but you're looking at Q probably. So we've got Foy leading this one and 3 boats in a line for second. We're just flipping around.
Yeah, absolutely. This is tight here, but it looks like Q to me have a commanding lead. But then we've got the Governor on the outside here, the Falmouth boat, and Talisman, the Lou boat. And there's a boat on the far outside there. I think is it Yellow Boat or is it Varnish? We can't quite spot it from here. Again, we've got the drone just landing beside us here. But any one of these 4 boats, they could be going up. The Talisman looks to me like they're making distance on Q here.
Yeah, I'm just trying to identify that boat on the outside. Is it the Victory that's in contention here? So Q are now only a quarter length up on Talisman, and we're in a couple of 100 yards from the finish. Governor also pushing. So Talisman really, really driving Foy hard here now. I think it's going to be a couple more strokes and Talisman might take this lead. Governor driving as well. So you got Foy, you got Lou, you got Falmouth battling it out. One of these crews, or 2 of these crews will go up. One of them's going to be disappointed, and it's not far to go. Victory kind of falling off the back in 4th, and then you've got Zorn probably 5th. Arrow in the mix for 6th. I'm going to pass back to Esther, let you know what's going on at the back.
Oh, Foy, you're killing me here. You just got pulled through by Governor and Talisman. You know, really dig in. It's so difficult from a psychological point of view now because heads will go down in that Foy boat. You know, they want to be in Heat B. They want to be up this afternoon. But it's Governor and Talisman going toe-to-toe. But they can't let out because if they let out, then Foy are going to take them. Also, all kudos to Foy there. I'm seeing some life jackets in that boat. That tells me they got some junior rowers in that boat. What experiences and learning they're going to take away from this. Really impressive stuff, Foy. Great to see you with those younger rowers.
Yeah, I know you're listening. You probably want to know what's going on in the back of the heat, so we quickly do 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5th place, I think we've got Zorn. Then we've probably got Torrent battling it out for 7th and 8th. I'm just trying to look. There's another. Is it the Emma Louise? Is in the mix there. Coming back, you've then got Petrock, Ammonite, Zeeheld, all battling it out as well. Coming across the line, Esther, what did you see?
Governor, I think Talisman got Governor and then it's Q. So I'm calling that Talisman of Lou, Falmouth and Governor, Foy in Q. The Victory, the Dutch crew, over the line. Flushing and Myler and Zorn, they look pretty relaxed there, actually. Then we've got Emma Louise, the under-25s crew, really fighting it out with Torrent there, leaving everything on the course. We've got Arrow from Padstow on the far side. Then we've got Ammonite, the boat from Lyme Regis. We've got Zeheld and Petrock. I can't call this. I think Petrock is going down alongside Tregarthen. So they will be competing tomorrow in Heat D. So that is C, done and dusted. We are now moving on. It's fast here, isn't it, Andrew? When I asked him to come and help me, I didn't quite tell him what it was like. But we're in Heat B now, Andrew. So the runners and riders.
Right, let's have a look then. So for B, we've got Penryn rowing Dew of the Sea in lane 1, Carradon C rowing Amazon in lane 2, Falmouth B, Blackrock lane 3, Helford B and Morgor rowing 4, Charlestown rowing Spriggan in 5, Appledore, Whitford in 6, Cadge rowing Zoros in 7, Newquay and Hope in 8, Yelm rowing Wasp in 9, we've got Carradon B in the Glanville in 10, Coteal in the Gallos in 11, and St Agnes from Scilly in the Setueo in 12. And this one's been a little bit slower on the set-off because we're managing to get a little bit further back out to catch them. I'm getting bored of saying it, but this looks close as well.
So what we've got here is we've got Dew of the Sea, the Penryn boat, and Setueo from the Isles of Scilly. So they were the two that came up, and then in the middle we've got Zoros, the Cadgwith boat, and we've got Whitford, Appledore. They're going to want to do the bounce back, and it looks like Appledore might be doing it. They're right up there, but is that the Charlestown boat, Spriggan? So Spriggan stayed in this heat last round, but they're looking to push up. Have they timed this to perfection?
Well, it looks like they certainly have. From this angle, it's closing now, but Spriggan probably got the lead. Whitford, I'd say it's close. I mean, Spriggan, Whitford 1-2, definitely. Blackrock and Zoros fighting it out for 3-4, Glanville in 5 at the minute.
Let's just take time to admire that push that Spriggan have put on. They have really moved. They've taken half a boat length. The time that I handed the microphone over to Andrew and took it back, honestly, they just jumped up. Beautiful rowing there from Charlestown. Then we've got third. We've got Zoros to Blackrock. Then we've got the Anne Glanville boat. That's the Carradon second crew there. They would want to be in the top heat.
Yeah, so then in 6th, we've got the Hope. Morgoise coming in 7th. And then probably Gallos and Dew of the Sea, 8, 9, Wasp 10. And looking at the back, the all-important people coming in the end of this heat, Amazon and, bear with me, is that Setueo? Yes, it is. So that's your 11-12, Amazon, Setueo.
Morgar as well. Can we give a little shout out here to the Warren brothers, 3 of them. Siblings are going to be a little bit of a theme in this year's Stories of World Pilot Gig Championships. Interesting though, Spriggan, they're getting a nice lead here, but we're seeing the crew of Cadgwith and Zoros. They're really putting a push on to take Whitford, but Whitford are responding. That Appledore crew, they want to be back up in the A heat. They are taking no prisoners. We've also got Blackrock and Anne Glanville. I don't think it's any secret that both of those boats want to be in the top heat. They want to top heat. They want to secure their clubs a third boat in Scilly's 2026.
Yeah, agree. I think Whitford are going to hang on here. You always look at that Cadgwith boat and they always look dangerous. Do you know what I mean? And they're rowing really strong. And Falmouth are pushing them hard there. So I think this is going to be Spriggan, Whitford 1-2, and Zoros, Blackrock, and the Glanville's going like the clappers on the outside here as well. So these are your 5. Yeah, stroke rate 37 on some of these lead boats. They are pushing.
Just look how committed James Howell is in the bow there. This means everything to them. They are going. They are being driven. But that is a very difficult one for us to call. Spriggan and Whitford, we believe. So that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Hope from Newquay, they're coming in 6th now. Julie Badger coxing them. We've also got the Morgul crew there from Helford. They're just bringing it in. Toby Bird in the middle of the boat there, the man who started Gig Rower and the drone footage for Scilly's. Cheers, Tobes, for all the effort you put in the early days. Dew of the Sea to Gallios to Wasp from Yelm. We've then, if I'm looking back, we've got Amazon and we've got Setueo. So these 2 boats are the ones that are going to be going down into Heat C. Setueo, do you think they did well in the St Agnes race for any particular reason? The crew from St Agnes?
Maybe. I think maybe a local knowledge there. I do think the north versus the south end of the line played a part yesterday. As I said, I watched the girls from the north end and it was properly rough out there. And I fancy at the southern end of the line, if you were down in that lane, a little bit more shelter coming in from the garrison there.
Yelm, I've got to give it to you. What a beautiful flag there. Though you're hitting a hell of a lot of wake in that little punt there. Right, okay, so this is it. Heat A, let's go. Carrick, Truro B. It's your boys, come on. Mora, Kovrak A. Berth 3, Teen Spirit. Berth 4, Zelda, St Mary's. Berth 5, Toby, Newquay. Curra's Pride from Lou in 6. Alwenick, Falmouth in 7. We got Voos from Helford in 8. And Dowlin from Carradon. Spur from Truro. Rogue from Ilfracombe. Ictus from Mounts Bay. I want to know what Helford are doing here. That beautiful row they got in St Agnes, and then middling in the Nut Rock last night.
Could be a bit of tactics. It could be a very horrible row. The amount of people I spoke to on the beach yesterday evening that said that was really not very pleasant, And I think today could be a much different picture. It is a lot flatter out here now.
Yeah, and some of those Helford boys, they come from a real pedigree actually of sliding seat rowing. So I think probably Nut Rock yesterday was quite a gauntlet for them. So we can't yet see, and we're hoping that you've got the drone footage. Steve's nodding to me, so you guys have got the drone footage. You can see a little bit more of what's going on. What we're expecting to see really is the big three: Curra's Pride, Alwenick, and Dowlin, Carradon. They over the last couple of years they have been switching positions, but Lou have always been that dominant power. What can they do here? To me, it looks like Curra's Pride have got the lead, but and Dowlin, that Carradon boat, I can really see them up there. Ooh, we've also got Alwenick. The three of them are leading, but Voos is only just a little bit back on these three. So again, tactics. Andrew, if you were on the beach, if you were the coxing any of those three crews, what would you told them to do this morning?
Well, I think it depends where you are in this race. I mean, you'll find the boats that are rowing 1 to 6 in here are probably, they're working, but they're in control of what they're doing, and they don't have to push too hard. This third race on the Sunday morning is one to conserve your energy. If you're towards the back half of this fleet, and it's very easy, a lot of places can change. 7, 8, 9, you're not safe. So they'll be working pretty hard in here, and I'm just looking, the crews that came up from the B heat last night, they'll be rowing on the fringes. I can see the Carrick out on the far side there, somewhere near the back. Ictus also could be in a little bit of trouble here at the back. But in the lead, we're looking at Curra's Pride, sort of, I've got Alwenick on their rudder, and then back to Carradon after that. What would you think?
Yeah, Curra's Pride, I've just checked their stroke rate, 36, so that's pretty lively. But then I think they're absorbing some of the pressure there from Alwenick and Andalen. They're going to want the psychological advantage. They have, ever since the COVID break, they've been absolutely dominating this race. We're just seeing Andalen moving up now on Alwenick. And if I hand back to you, I want to do a little stroke rate check there on Carradon.
Yeah, Carradon definitely having a push here, trying to make a statement. They're driving through Falmouth now and coming up into second place. Lou are looking pretty chilled out. Yeah, 36 the stroke rate in the Carradon boat. So this 1, 2, 3, they're working pretty hard for me for a Sunday morning.
Again, though, I'm looking at body language. We've got Emma the cox there, incredibly experienced from the Lou crew. Then we've got Naomi on the inside here from Carradon. I can see her really bellowing at her crew, whereas Amelia, she's just cool as a cucumber there in Alwenick. She's not making calls. She's just very casually looking around her. I feel there's games at play here.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Falmouth, I'd be sitting pretty there. There's no need to be busting, too much energy, wasting too much energy on this Sunday morning. Helford looking really chill. If you look at that boat, they're looking really relaxed.
Yeah, look at Phil Badger there. He looks like he's out for a Sunday afternoon sail. But this is where we're gonna lose focus on the front here a little bit. Carradon are pulling ahead of Falmouth, but I really want to focus. We'll focus on them in the final. Let's focus on the back of this pack. Let's see who's staying up. Now, to my money, I'm sorry, Andrew, I know they're your boys, but it looks like Truro and Carrick are just dropping off the back there, along with Toby from Newquay. Ictus from Mounts Bay, though, they have work to do here.
Yeah, I was worried about Ictus a minute ago. I mean, they're going okay for now. So if they can just keep ahead of Carrick and keep ahead of the Newquay boat, they're going to be all right. And they're looking pretty strong. So fingers crossed they can do it. You always expect coming up from that Heat B, they're going to struggle. And you can see them out there on the hip. It's a hard row when you can't see anyone anymore. All the other boats have gone. It's really, really tough.
And let's give Truro their due here. They are the only B crew that have made it into this heat. So, fabulous work. The Spur crew from Truro, we're seeing them neck and neck here with Rogue. They are absolutely going for it. Ilfracombe, the Cox looks pretty chill, but I'm just looking at some of the Rogue. Yeah, they're definitely shortened their stroke up a bit. We've also got Zelda, the Isles of Scilly crew. Look at the length of their stroke. That is just chilled. That is powerful. I wouldn't put Zelda beyond pushing up further here. Team Spirit there on the outside. They've got a game to play here. They're doing well. But this Ictus crew, again, really good. Look at the 5-rower wearing a life jacket. That tells me that is a young man who is having a fabulous experience here. So well done, Mount Spey, for the focus you've given on the junior rowers. We've got Toby, that is Newquay men's A, and we've got Carrick, Truro men's B. Carrick can be incredibly proud of the effort they're going to be in, and I think Carrick is going to be game on this afternoon. They will want the podium, will they not, Andrew?
They certainly will. There's some good experience in that boat, and there's some people that have been rowing a good long time. So I'm not surprised to see them up there doing well, and they'll be pushing for the podium this afternoon. What I'm interested in really is how many people are keeping it in the bag. What are we going to see that's different this afternoon? I've done really well here on the Sunday morning, only to be really embarrassed in the final. So I'll be interested to see how it unfolds this afternoon. Who's been resting? Who's been taking it easy? I certainly think that Helford boat, they looked pretty chilled out, didn't they, in that last couple of minutes?
They did. There was a few crews there that just, to me, look really under control. The Covrat boys, they've been up here. They've been fighting for the podium places in the last couple of years, and you could really see that experience. There was some brilliant rowing there. Rogue from Ilfracombe, absolutely going for it though. Different techniques, but also, I was very interested to see the Zelda, the St Mary's crew. Like, to me, they looked powerful. They looked in control. Like, are they going to? I can't personally see them getting a podium position, but I think they're going to be up there in the top 5.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, you don't really know is the answer. We're going to have to get out there for the final and have a look. I think Carradon were really interested in that race. It's obviously wanting to get in the heads of Lou a little bit. They were pushing there for the last couple of minutes, just trying to make a statement, just trying to say, no, look, we're here. You're not having this all your own way, and we're going to keep driving. We're just coming alongside the Ictus here. Well done, boys. Stayed up. Congratulations.
Any statements for us?
Yeah, well done. They're just saying it's a bit of a tough row. I mean, 5 minutes in, I thought they were going down, and they've managed it. So
Joe just wants to say hello to his mum. Joe, can you give us a big wave? Well done. You should be so proud of yourselves, Mount Spey. That's fabulous. Charlotte, well done. Fabulous coxing as ever. A little bit downhearted there in the Newquay boat. We do understand, but please, come back this afternoon, boys. Feel refreshed. You got a fight on there with Spur. You're going to want to get yourselves on the podium there. Hello, Nick George. Can you give us a wave, Nick? Right on. Well done, Spur. Brilliant rowing there. Oh, sorry, I got that wrong, didn't I? That's Spur, that's the A crew. So they are safe in the top heat. Yep. It was Carrick, wasn't it, that is the one that is going to be dropping down. So I do apologise. Nick George is safe in the final. He'll have my guts for garters if he hears that later.
So, any predictions? I think it's time to get into where you think it. Do you want to call your 1, 2, 3, or you don't want to be put on camera?
What do I say? I mean, my heart's with Lou, I think.
Well,
I think
I'm going to go Carradon because I just want the underdog. I think it would be a nice fitting thing. We had a little change around at the top.
Carradon, the underdogs. Well, did you not see what happened in the age categories? They got the masters, they got the super vets, they got the vets. No, but I'm with you. Carradon are rowing a superb race there, and I think Lou, they're just so good at peaking for this event. That's the thing that you get for Lou. How many times we've gone to Three Rivers and we've seen them beaten, and then we come here and they are absolutely the class of the field.
I know, and it's that finishing third where I really think they excel. You look at it, they don't start too hard, they row a sensible middle section, and it just goes up and up and up, and you can see they've got that extra gear. So while I'm thinking it would be nice for Carradon, I think you might be right about Lou. We'll see later.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it's first and second, Lou and Carradon. Falmouth, I'm just, my heart wants to say you can do it, boys. My head thinks that's going to be quite an ask. Unfortunately, they have had to have a crew change in the last couple of weeks because of injury, and that's obviously not ideal for any crew going into this situation. But I wouldn't put it past them. It's Falmouth.
Well, we'll find out in a couple of hours. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting.
I'm looking forward to it, and I think who are we going to see coming up behind them?
Oh, I don't know. I think it's too early to tell. But
and then for the women's seniors, we've got Voos, we've got Carradon again. The underdogs there?
Yeah, I'm staying with Steve Murray, father to the twins rowing in the Helford boat, so I'm rooting for them. I think it's going to be my pick of the day. I'm hoping Helford are going to do it for the ladies.
Oh, absolutely. And the story of siblings, it really sort of runs through this, doesn't it? We've got the Murray twins that are in Voos, but we've also got the Kent sisters, Naomi and Leanne. They are incredibly experienced, and they've been really the centre of that Carradine crew. And in many ways, the Kent family, the centre of the Carradine Club. And again, you know, I've rowed against both of those women on many, many occasions, and they are never to be underestimated.
No, totally agree. I mean, I don't think you can call it. That's the nice thing, isn't it? It's a bit of intrigue. It's not a foregone conclusion. We're going to have to get out there this afternoon, get on the water and watch it unfold.
I can't wait for it. Can I just give you a little shout out about rafting? Can we just remember from the safety committee, we would love to see you all rafted up here. When you get rafted up, can you just make sure at the end you're really careful unrafting? Don't tie yourself off from a buoy and then all float using this easterly into the quay. But thank you very much. We're very much looking forward to bringing you.
Brilliant.
Cheers.
Cheers.